Bregman's hitting BP bombs. Cade Horton and J-Dub are hitting 100 miles an hour already. Ty, and that's not even the biggest story of the week because the owner has spoken, and we're going to get into everything he said and deep dive all of it and nitpick and all of that fun stuff on the Sentiment Podcast right now. Welcome everyone to a new week and a new edition of the Set Up Man Podcast. I'm Alex Brawl alongside Ty Lewin, and this is the Set Up Man Podcast. If you have not already, do us a favor, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment on this video and subscribe to our channel. If you listen on audio only, today might not be a great day because we're going to start out with one of my favorite clips I've ever seen. So make sure, if you don't, just jump over to YouTube. Just watch this clip that I'm going to play in just a second for Ty that I did not prep him for, by the way. But make sure you follow us there and leave a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. All right. So as mentioned on today's show, we're talking Tom Ricketts. He spoke in Arizona, and we're going to get into all of the details on that. But first, I saw this on X, and I want to make sure that I have my sourcing right. But I need someone to give me the details of this fight. It is a baseball fight. It's a Cubs-Cardinals clip from way back in the day, courtesy of @BigLeagueDigest. I have never seen this before. I don't know any of the context, but Ty, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen, and I'm going to play that right now.
About to chat with him. Pretty wild chat. Now both managers have gotten into it, and he says pitch the ball, and he calls a strike on him. Wow, this is the strangest thing I've ever seen. Now, wait a minute, hold on here. Now Ted Simmons is getting into it, throwing punches at Madlock, and down they go as the bench is clear.
Okay, so if you're listening to us on audio, the clip is whoever the Cubs manager is at this time. They're wearing the baby blues, so that's the era we're talking. He comes out and is arguing with the umpire. Umpire says, "I'm done. I'm calling the game." Gets behind home plate. The batter is not in the batter's box. Pitch is thrown, strike called. Now the on-deck batter comes into the picture, tries to cut off the pitch, almost gets hit with it, and just chaos ensues. Then there's a brawl. People are swinging. Someone got tackled. It is one of the funniest baseball fight clips I have ever seen in my life. To have the umpire throw his hands up and say, "F this, we're playing," and then calls a strike is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Your thoughts?
That was awesome. Thank you for sharing it with me. I had no idea when you texted me earlier today that about having some form of a video that we were going to watch on the show, and I was like, oh, okay. I have no idea what he's about to show me, and for it to be that, I'm thoroughly glad, and I hope the people that are listening at home or listening on the radio go back and watch that clip because that was pretty remarkable. And I don't see Ali Marmol and Craig Counsell doing that this year, but hey, just like Bryce Harper said in the most recent podcast with Bussin' with the Boys, fighting should be back in baseball. So bring it back.
Oh, which I haven't listened to that yet. You had recommended it to me, and I will listen to it eventually. Are we sure fighting's not completely out of the game? But besides the point, before we get into more of that and Cubs news, if anyone, I know our audience varies from like teenagers to retirees. If you have any details on this fight, please, even just for my sake, comment below, let us know. Because I don't know the era, I don't know the manager, I don't know anything except for this made me laugh out loud because of how ridiculous it is. Okay, moving on. Cubs news. Cubs have agreed to a 2-year deal with reliever Shelby Miller. If that name sounds familiar, that is because he was a Cub previously and a Milwaukee Brewer as of last year. 2-year deal because Shelby Miller will not pitch this upcoming season. He is recovering from elbow surgery. So the Cubs are taking a gamble at a very low cost. I believe they're paying him to basically rehab with them this year. But next year it's only about $1 million. Maybe a little bit more than that, but it's not much. Last year with Milwaukee was really solid. 48 games. I'm sorry, Milwaukee and Arizona. 48 games, a 2.74 ERA, and 46 innings pitched. Ty, when this guy's healthy, he's proven to be a solid reliever.
Yeah, I really didn't have much on this. If I'm being honest with you, I don't mean to.
Well, it's not much of a sign. It's a risk.
No, I don't want to be disrespectful to the audience who's listening in, but again, I look if this guy, I don't know if I've really seen the Cubs do something like this. So obviously it speaks volumes. Yeah, obviously it speaks volumes to what he could potentially do in the future. And was there a lot of threat of other teams signing him at this time? That says a lot, especially when you're considering most guys that get injured and are out for a long time. It's either while they're under team control or basically in free agency. So, hey, you know what? If this is a move for the future that helps the team in the future, and I remember Shelby Miller, obviously with the Cubs and then with the D-backs, and has always been pretty electric arm. So hopefully it helps us in 27, hopefully with baseball then.
Yeah, and I'm looking up, there was a minor league deal, I believe, with the Padres. But kind of in the same class of Shelby Millers and whatnot. But let me ask you this, Ty, and I kind of know where I lean here. I can't find it. If it comes to me, Walker Buehler. Just signed. That's who I was thinking of. So Walker Buehler signs a minor league deal. Who kind of a swingman at this point in his career. Would you rather have Shelby Miller or Walker Buehler? I kind of would have just took Walker Buehler on a minor league deal. Right?
I don't know if I would compare those two just because.
Well, Buehler has more upside.
He's really struggled though, man. I mean, since TJ and basically his claim to fame there, after his TJ and injuries was the ability to throw in the playoffs and be dominant in the playoffs. But that means that you got to carry him the entire year. And when you're talking about a guy like Walker Buehler, who's obviously a big-time competitor, if you're going to send him to AAA after you add him to the 40-man, he's automatically going to be put back on the waivers anyways. So if he doesn't work out at the regular season level, it's kind of a waste of money versus a guy like Shelby Miller. This allows them to have a little bit more time to assess everything, and it's not a lot of money. So I don't know. I just wouldn't compare the two if I was to look at these deals. Just because, again, I think that like Buehler would have a very short leash versus Miller. There's obviously some faith in that arm.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the other comparison that I'm guessing this pitcher is going to get a minor league deal. Would you rather have Shelby Miller or Michael Kopech? Because Kopech, I'm guessing if Buehler got a minor league deal, I'm guessing Kopech would probably get a minor league deal or something similar to a 1-year, $1 to $2 million deal.
I would have to look at Kopech's numbers. I can pull it up in front of me, but yeah, I don't know if I want to go too much into detail on this, but look, Michael Kopech, when he was with the Dodgers, obviously found it a little bit more than when he was with the White Sox, and that was really a lot of people anticipated that based off when he went to the Dodgers, or when he was traded from the White Sox to the Dodgers. But to look at both those guys, this is, I don't know. It's so weird. It's just strange to me that they had to sign Miller now. Again, must just be something. Again, I have a lot of faith in those guys, like I always said. So looking forward to seeing what he does. And you know what? This is also a point too. Maybe they don't see a lot in Kopech that they can work with.
That could be. I will just say, just a very quick baseball reference search. Kopech with the Dodgers was really freaking good, man.
Yeah, but that was what year though?
In 24, he had 24 games, a 1.13 ERA. Last year, 14 games, a 2.45, but obviously dealt with injuries last year.
Yeah, dealt with injuries, and so you just don't know. He's still a free agent. Again, there's little things that the Cubs are going to look for that works with their repertoire, and I maybe just don't. Maybe there's something with Kopech that they didn't like versus a thing like they can work with when it comes to Shelby Miller. Because last year when I saw Miller, it was a lot of fun, but again, this is a guy going to be coming off an injury. It's strange to me, but yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, and we don't have to spend a ton of time on it. Just an interesting flyer type move, but they're giving him major league money, so he will be around next season. Before we get into our main story, couple housekeeping items. The Fantasy Baseball League that we talked about last Thursday. We're all at the Setup Man Network a little shocked at the amount of interest and commitments already there have been, which is unbelievable of you guys that you want to do this with us. Just crazy. So I'm going to flash it up on the screen here. There is still time. February 27th is the last day to apply. If you are interested in doing a Setup Man Fantasy Baseball Listener League, right here below on the screen, that's Kyle at setupman.net. Send your applications. Kyle will have you fill out a form once you submit your interest, and then obviously you'll have to Venmo him or Cash App or whatever sort of financial process. But give Kyle your money, and then you're in. We're talking draft days. It's probably going to be the weekend before the season starts on March 26th, which is 37 days away. But that all is still up in the air because we're still getting interest and we're still getting applications from y'all, which is crazy. So if you are interested in the Setup Man Fantasy Listener League, that's Kyle at setupman.net to apply. Okay. And before we get into our main topic tonight, we also need to hear from the sponsor of this video. Kyle, would you like to tell us who that is?
Hey, let's take a quick break to let you know that one way you can support our show is by taking control of your health. Guys, I used to drink 1 to 2 energy drinks per day. That was in my mid-20s. No one in their mid-20s should be going through any energy issues. But after trying out Advocare products, not only did I kick my energy drink habit and save hundreds of dollars per month, I also lost 3% body fat and 8 pounds in the first 3 weeks. That started in 2012. I've obviously fallen in love with them. I've used them every day since then, and I will never stop using them. And guess what? I'm going to give you a 15% off link to my favorite product, Spark. You just mix it with water, it tastes great, and it'll give you 5 hours of clean energy with no crash. The link is down in the description, and again, this helps support our show, and I think you're going to love it just as much as I do.
Please, oh, please support the people that support us. Now to our topic of the day.
It's the soup of the day.
That sounds good. I'll have that.
Tom Ricketts spoke in Arizona. The full squad has now reported as of yesterday, except for, we probably should mention, we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. Christian Bethencourt and Moises Ballesteros are currently not in camp. They are delayed due to visa issues. So Tom Ricketts actually, I didn't clip this, but in this same 10-minute speech he gave, he said he's not super worried about it. It does sometimes happen with international players. So hopefully by this weekend, Ballesteros and Bethencourt will be in camp. Okay. But he did speak to this season, and we're going to start. We're not going to waste any time. So he was asked, what's the difference between the expectations of 2025 versus this year? Obviously, last year they brought in Kyle Tucker. This year they bring in Cabrera and Bregman as their big additions. So, Mr. Ricketts, what's the difference in expectations?
There were expectations coming into last year to deliver the playoff performance, but does it feel like heightened expectations this year?
Well, I don't think that. I mean, everyone had high expectations last year, and I think they're higher this year. I mean, obviously we have, effectively the same team last year, plus a couple of key components that should contribute. So, I mean, I would expect everyone to have higher expectations this year.
First of all, love it. Ty, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's. I'll start off just right up from the top because this is like a completely different type of messaging than we've heard in the past. He does mention during the interview a few different times of things that he's mentioned in the past. The problem is that his messaging in the past has always had comments, not only from himself, but other management officials that have deviated away from that goal or that, I would say, objective, right? And so carrying it back to the comments that he told Brian, our fellow Setup Man member, regarding, please just take care of us online and that we're just trying to break even. And then, of course, prior to that, break even Tom became a really, really big slogan across Cubs fandom and concerned a lot of people. Yep. And you just see what we were there this past summer, which was awesome. You've seen what he's built with that Disneyland that surrounds Wrigley Field. And so a lot of people just generally assume that, hey, like you have the funds to go win a division, a World Series, what have you. So I did like the fact overall that this media session gave a clear identity to, or clear, not identity, sorry, but clear view of where management sees this team just this year. And I think that he did a good job. And especially with that comment, I wish it was a little bit more like kind of firm, but maybe you have that later on when he says something maybe a little bit different.
Yeah, for sure. He had two massive comments that stole headlines, and we will get to those in a second. But I actually, without even giving my whole heartfelt thoughts here, you kind of alluded to the fans and different tones. And you know what? Without further ado, I'm just going to play this next clip because he kind of, in this one, is just asked about. Well, I'll just play it.
When you heard the crowds at Wrigley last fall again, did that even reinvigorate somebody who's enthusiastic like yourself and your family every day, and kind of bring back the memory of what it was like to win again?
Well, I mean, you guys were all there. Wrigley was incredible in those playoff games last year, and it did remind you of some of those games back in 15 and 16 and somewhat 17 where we had just the kind of energy, and obviously we want to have those games every year. We obviously want to win the World Series every year, but for me too, it's just paying off all the loyal fans who have come to so many games for so many years and given so much to the team, to be able to pay them back with an incredible experience like what we saw in the playoffs last year. That just means a lot to me personally, and I want to do that every year.
So I know that there are people that are watching us right now or will watch this episode and roll their eyes and say Tom's cheap, and they're dug in on their positions on Tom, and that's fine. You are entitled to your opinion. We're not here to change that. But this, to me, was the biggest change I've seen from him, maybe in his entire ownership tenure. He talks every spring, and we're used to the Diamondbacks won 83 and they won the World Series and stuff in that same vein. For him to now almost take a Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets, who has come out and said, well, this is philanthropic for me. I just want to make people happy. For him to use the words, essentially repay fan loyalty to this team, and it's go time, I stunned. And look, I have given Tom a good amount of grief on my time working for the Setup Man Network. Some of it deserved, some of it probably just me being a hot-headed fan. But man, if that is sincere, to me, out of all the stuff he said, that means the most to me personally. As someone who does buy all the jerseys and memorabilia and bobbleheads and all this stuff that's behind me as you're watching on YouTube. I love this team, but we all want to win.
Yeah, you said it really well there, and I mean, I would say generally the biggest issues have been with this organization has been their financial spending when it comes to their fear of going beyond something that they gave Hayward, which it's like it's different now. Like players require a higher salary than they used to, and especially when you're talking about players of stature of, call it Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani, Kyle Tucker. I mean, some of these players where, generally in the past you could get away with stuff, but once Harper got his deal, not to bring him up again, but once Harper got his deal, it was like, ooh, things are really going to take off here. So I think, him spending the money this offseason that we've seen now with the bullpen, but more importantly with a guy like an Alex Bregman, really showed a lot. And it showed something to this organization that I think a lot of fans were. I mean, I just remember that night when it happened. I mean, not to bring up the game that was also going on, but when we think about what happened when that signing was made, it signaled something different. for this organization. And so, again, I think he feels now that he has the ability to kind of probably talk about this more with maybe a little bit more like, confidence. And I give him credit because if he didn't sign Bregman, this would be a completely different podcast right now, if we're being honest.
Well, yeah, because where was their second move? They got Cabrera, but where were they going to pivot? They needed a bat. We all kind of knew that. And by all accounts, Bregman has just injected a whole new breath of fresh air and new life to this team. Every time you listen to either the Athletic Beat guys or David Kaplan on his radio show this morning, by all accounts, those just to name a few, Bregman has just totally, I don't want to say reinvented the culture because their culture's kind of been building to this moment in particular, but kind of. In fact, David Kaplan on his radio show said he thinks that Bregman, just personality-wise and all that, is an upgrade from Kyle Tucker, which I know some people are probably like, that's just Cap being Cap. But also then you see videos of Kyle Tucker at Dodger spring training literally just standing there. Now, maybe, it's in between periods or whatever. It doesn't matter, but it's just the optics of, yeah. Meanwhile, our guy is out there. He's working with PCA already. He's talking to the young guys. He said, yeah, I'm going to the WBC, but I will be in early every day to make sure I get my work in and talk to the young guys and talk to my teammates. Like, it's different, man. And I think Bregman might be the symbolic microcosm of all of that. But to hear ownership talk this way, and let's just play the next clip because this one too, the conviction, the confidence, this is a Tom with some, as the kids say, BDE. And if you know, I'm not going to say it. There's probably kids listening. But there is definitely a swagger and a confidence here that I have not seen from him, I don't think, ever.
Obviously, you accomplished the goal last year of getting back to the postseason, and you already touched on, obviously, the higher expectations. How important, from your perspective, is reconquering the division? And a lot of fans pay attention to that, too. And I'm just curious on what that means to you to win a division title again.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we want to win the division. We should win the division. It's just a matter of executing and staying healthy, and I think we should be right there. You want to win the division for a lot of reasons, not just because it's aggravating not to, but you want to put yourself in the best position for the playoffs as well. And so hopefully that we'll execute against that plan and be there at the end of the season.
We should win the division. Ty?
Felt good, man. Felt good for him to say that. Honestly, out of all the comments that he made, that felt the most sort of blatant in a way, or I would say just a different tone. And I think you said that, where you felt something a little bit different with that answer than you did with the other ones. And it felt like a lot of answers. I know we won't show every single clip because it would just be corporate speak. But there was a lot of that, if we wanted to be honest, in some of his answers, which ultimately there are just some things he just can't talk about. And so I'll wait for you to play the rest of your clips before I go over maybe some other things that I heard. But yes, I would say, they made the moves necessary to make this team better going into this year. I would say he's speaking with confidence because he knows that they executed on their plan. I mean, look back to the back of the offseason, it was young, controllable starter and a bat in the middle of the lineup.
Check.
And just making sure, of course, that their bullpen is solidified. And so they did what they said they were going to do. And a lot of the times that doesn't happen in sports, especially with franchises. I mean, you can ask some other fans of other MLB teams from this offseason. They would tell you, no, we didn't do anything near what we expected as fans. So again, they went by their word. They said that what they were going to do, they did that. Now, like he said, let's go execute a plan.
Well, and you mentioned other teams not executing their plan. Aaron Judge over the weekend said, the first couple months of free agency for the Yankees, it sucked because it was so quiet and we didn't do anything. Now, obviously, we are not a Yankee podcast. I don't really care about the Yankees all that much. So if they did do something big that I'm forgetting, they brought back Bellinger. So I guess that's something. But even the Yankees were like, oh, and that's the freaking Yankees. For the Cubs, who, again, he's cheap. He only cares about his wallet. It's this, it's that, and the other thing. I'm going to play the last clip. And this is a man, to me, in this moment, and he's got a history that would suggest otherwise, but in this moment, this is not a man that's concerned about his wallet.
This is 17 years that your family's owned the Cubs, and you talked initially about what you wanted to do. It appears you've done most of those things. Is there anything that you feel is incomplete that you and your family would continue to want to try to do with the Cubs?
We just have to win more World Series. I mean, it's about winning. I mean, all this other stuff, it all leads to one thing, and that's about winning. And we just have to put the kind of teams on the field that can be in the playoffs every year and get back on top.
I mean, does that sound like a man that's worried about his budget? The fact that he came out and said we need to win more World Series. When the hell has any executive talked like that? And to quote Jay Hood on the radio show this morning with Cap, he's the only owner in Chicago sports, and maybe as I think about it, in the entirety of sports, that has had the gall to put his balls on the table and be like, yeah, we need to win more. Now, will they? I don't know. The Dodgers exist. The Phillies exist. The Yankees, the Blue Jays, all of these teams exist. And baseball, when it gets to playoffs, is super random. So who knows? But the fact that ownership has, for lack of a better term, owned up to making they did all the business stuff. They renovated Wrigley. They bought Wrigleyville. They built it up. The last thing for him to accomplish, as he said, is to win. That blew me away. And it just makes me even more excited for in 37 days when my dad and I are in the upper deck, row one, watching them take on the Nationals. I am fired the hell up.
Can I play devil's advocate for a sec?
Oh, no. You're going to yuck my yum, aren't you? That's fine. Go ahead.
I'm not going to yuck your yum because what he is talking about is 26. He's talking about 26, which is exactly what all fans want. I just pray that next year when we have changes made and signings aren't made based off of those quote unquote issues now that we have because of budgetary constraints, I'm going to literally break this Wrigley photo behind me in half. That's my biggest fear, because if you think about it, like from a business sense, your budget is set for the year pretty much. He talks about it in the actual, what do you call it? The interview or the media session.
Yeah.
That one of the things that will, of course, change is when they're around the trade deadline, which means that they can be more flexible, right? Besides that, when do you have to be flexible beyond that? And are the Cubs really going to sign or bring over a guy who's getting paid 40 to 50 million? Are there even players out there from other teams that you need to do that? So ultimately, when you're talking about your budget, they probably budgeted to, give another 10 to 20 million, go into the first luxury taxes. They obviously are, maybe even tap into the second one slightly, but realistically, they can have everything set for this year. And then next year, when there's a potential lockout and now budget really, really, really gets tight. Oh, hey, sorry guys, we're in the same shoes you are. We want to win. We're in the same headspace, but we're limited, right? So that's my I just want to put that bug in everybody's ear of like, just remember where this team was a few years ago. They made all the moves. They made the trades that they needed to make based on the fact that they felt like they weren't able to win moving forward with what they had. I just hope that this mindset continues, because it really is kind of out of the blue, Alex, that he mentions this. And he talks about that. I do have one issue with what he talked about.
Well, which issue would that be?
Can I talk about it now, or did you want to talk about one other thing?
No, the only thing I will say in response to your response is...
I want you to respond to my response. Yep.
Okay.
And then I'll respond to your response from my response.
Is that what we call conversation? Are we doing a thing?
Oh, got it. Okay,
sure.
Go ahead.
He did. So you're saying for 26? Yes, I think ultimately the goal. They have a team that is good enough. If they get into the postseason, they are good enough, assuming health, all of luck, all of that stuff. They have a team that's good enough to win this year. However, the way he phrased that was, "We need to win more World Series." That to me was plural. That wasn't a, "Hey, we got our one. Two would be nice." This was, okay. Yes, the Dodgers exist, but we need to win, as LeBron would say, not two, not three, not four, not five.
Oh, that's ugh. That just honestly, dude, you can stop the show now. That just made me cringe.
I have a bunch of LeBron stuff up in my office, but that's not the point.
Poor guy.
I'm obviously I'm doing a bit, but the way he talks makes me think, no, we are more willing now, assuming they make the playoffs and get that extra revenue. And there's your caveat. I'm sure money does play a part in this. And if maybe salary cap makes all things even.
Or maybe they made so much money off the playoffs last year that they're like, hey, if we make it again, holy smokes, look what the numbers we're going to have.
I mean, that fan loyalty clip we just played not that long ago, doesn't that kind of feel like it? I mean, that's part of it, right? But regardless, if you boil it down...
By the way, I'm playing devil's advocate because, again, it's just, this is so different than what we're used to. So, again, I'm trying to see why this is, as if I had my little tinfoil hat that you have, that you'll have to ship over to me here in
I'll wear it for you. It's fine.
In Phoenix. Why this year? What makes you think this year? Right?
Yeah.
Because how much money you got coming off the books, all this stuff. Look, I am, if you want to comment below that I'm being negative and all that, totally understand. I'm just having an honest conversation through this microphone to you, the listener, and to my wonderful co-host, the host.
We're in this together,
same boat. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Okay, so one other thing I was just going to mention, his marquee comments were kind of hilarious.
Well, okay, so I didn't clip those, but we should mention.
Can I read them to you?
Yes.
I'll paraphrase him a little bit, but basically he was asked.
Before you do that, let's just set this up for the audience a little bit.
Okay.
So, what Ty's referring to is he was asked questions about the luxury tax, their plans there. He was asked about some extension stuff. He said, "Well, I'll leave that all up to Jed on that." But then he was asked some marquee questions because obviously CBA expiring, the TV landscape changing and kind of falling apart with all these regional sports networks. He was asked about marquee. Ty, take it away.
Yeah, I just thought, again, look, it's his baby, obviously. It was something that they created because, again, if you aren't too familiar, I'm probably not the best to explain it, but basically the regional sports network model that has taken over baseball has sort of really taken a deep dive, basically over the last 5 years for a lot of organizations, where now MLB TV is basically taking over those teams and broadcasting their games. So marquee, with it being obviously the Cubs RSN, has had some interesting things happen, right? We just had an announcement the last couple of months ago of a lot of cuts that happened to their organization and talking about revenue not being generated and this and that. So I just thought it was interesting when he was asked about, would he change anything with marquee? He says, no, like one of the best things we've ever done. It helped us control our own destiny, which I thought that was a really interesting quote. Produce games the way they want to be produced, possibly the smartest thing they've ever done. He did note that they did win a ton of Emmys, and we got a lot of great feedback. We also have broadcasters that are loved by the fans, which I would say, people, I would say generally do like Boog and JD most of the time, and then, of course, Sutcliffe and all that as well.
Right.
And look, that's 162 games. I've kind of just recognized at this point that, you know what? You got to do what you got to do. It's a long season. But do have to balance out the economic side and that the expenses are getting tougher. So it's he said all the great things that he wanted to, but at the end he did note that there is been a little bit of a struggle there. And look, I am not here to say either it's a good or a bad product. I just would rather not go down that route. My opinion doesn't matter. That at the end of the day is their baby. But I just thought it was interesting because, again, it was something that I don't think a lot of people are going to talk about, just because, again, most people have heard we're going to try to go win World Series. It's like, oh, but what's going on with Marquis because he just had a bunch of cuts. And I thought that was just a very interesting response. Did you want to comment on that at all? Or
yes, I want to keep this more positive and maybe be ignorant and kind of ignore the Marquis stuff. You could tell though when he was answering, the body language was way different. When you were talking about the on-field stuff, he was excited. He was like, "Yeah, I think we can do this. We're gonna win." Blah blah blah. And then when they talked about the tax stuff, the roster construction, Marquis, it was a little more serious, a little more. Well, we got XYZ going on, and so there was just little differences I noticed in how he was speaking about each. Clearly, he is ready for the season to start. Yeah, and look, as far as the Marquee stuff goes, I don't have really any look. I just want to watch my team. If I can see the games, can I be honest with you at home? I don't care. I just want to watch the games. Like right now, I'm starting to get into college baseball because I'm fearing that there won't be professional baseball next year. So I don't know who these jokers are on ESPN plus plus plus. I mean, some of these networks I've never even heard of. I don't care. I just want to watch the games. I think Boog is terrific at what he does. Sometimes, yes, I wish he was a bit more of a homer. Whatever. That's a fan complaint. The production, as you said, it's 162 games. I get that in the third inning in the middle of July, they have to have Elise go interview someone about a new hot dog they're trying. Like, they need to fill time. So,
and the other thing is the resources may not be there like you do with, call it the Dodgers network or the Yes network with the Yankees, where the Dodgers, obviously, if you don't understand how they've just taken off with their network, June Lee on YouTube put out a video that goes over how the Dodgers have basically sort of become the villains of baseball, but how their TV deal was what really took a step forward. It's with June Lee on YouTube. I highly recommend. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. But again, it's also something maybe we don't understand the total landscape of what they have available to them. Because Cole Wright's awesome. Like Boog is obviously, like you mentioned, he's done as great of a job as he possibly can, especially with the circumstances of maybe not being his team. Same with JD. I love when they bring in Rick Sutcliffe, Ryan Dempster, and everything. So again, I wish them nothing but the best. I just thought those were interesting comments coming from the head honcho.
Yeah, look, as I said a couple shows ago. Yeah, I would rather watch spring training games than bass fishing. Like, yes, that's a problem I have with Marquee. Just set a camera up. I don't need people commenting. Just set the cameras up and go. We'll just listen to crowd noise for 3 hours. I don't care. Some people might like it or take a nap to it. Either way, you're getting ratings because it's on. And look, I'm not going to pretend that I know anything about the TV landscape. And for their side of things, yeah, when they started the whole thing in 2019 before the pandemic, it was like, oh, the Cubs are going to have their own network. This is great. They're going to make all this extra money. And I think that's what they thought. And it didn't work out due to some of their let me say this correctly, due to some factors out of their control. And then, yeah, programming stuff, I'm sure has something to do with it too. But no, look, I don't care where the games are. I feel for the people that have to jump through hoops because it's Marquee's not in their area. I have to watch the Brewer games up here when they play the Cubs. I have to watch their broadcast. It sucks because of these stupid blackout rules. I don't know. But anyway, point being, the Marquee stuff, yes, it's important. I'm glad you brought it up. We shouldn't have ignored it. But also the owner is swinging around his BDE because he thinks his team is a contender and is going to win not only a lot of games, but make a deep postseason run. And that, to me, is just unreal. I've never heard my football team doesn't have an owner, famously, but no other owner in sports that I follow, they don't talk like this ever. It's crazy, and I can't appreciate. Before we go, if you had to grade Tom Ricketts' off season, what grade would you give him? Well, you're thinking, it's got to be an A, right? Okay, look, Jed had to do all the legwork, but he got Bregman in here. He got Cabrera in here. And now he's talking about winning multiple World Series. Just from a PR standpoint, it's got to be an A, right?
You're talking PR, or you're talking just
in
the
general.
team overall. I would say
let me clarify, because he made it clear that Jed handles all the baseball stuff. So he just signs off. Hey, we want Bregman. This is the number. Okay, great. Sign it off. But that they spent the second most amount of money in free agency this offseason. He has to get some credit for that. The way he's spoken all winter about how highly he thinks of this team and how they're going to win, all of that stuff. All of it combined. So PR, baseball stuff, combine them. What grade are you giving him? I think it's an A. He's been really good.
Yeah, I would say an A minus, just because you can always add probably one more big time asset.
Oh, sure.
To fulfill a need, but like a big time starting pitcher outside of the Edward Cabrera thing, like a pure number one ace, like you could always do that in some way, in my opinion, especially with being a large market team. But at the end of the day, though, it really was a balanced offseason that we haven't seen in the past. So I give him an A minus.
Yeah, it maybe just compared to past years when they, I was going to throw this at you too before we go, and I know I'm delaying now, but the way they've talked since they traded the core guys in 21? Just listening to interviews with Jed and Cap and Tom just in different places, they both, ownership and the front office, weren't really sold. I don't know that they thought that quote-unquote rebuild was done until last year. I've just, the more I've thought about this, because 23, hey, we'll bring in Bellinger on a one-year deal. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. We'll sign Dansby, but that's kind of by necessity because we don't have a shortstop unless we're doing Andrelton Simmons again. And then 25, they go for Tucker, and they're close. But even, I can't shake this, and Cap was talking about this morning on his radio show, that Jed mentioned, like, hey, we're close. We're not quite there yet. This is the first time where I think they feel like, oh yeah, we're here. It's time. It's time to ball, y'all.
I think we're almost there. We're almost there. And I think they know in the back of their minds that whatever their next big move needs to be, it's going to be a big move, and it's not going to be something that we're probably going to be too fond of. And I don't want to say it gives you 2016 vibes of where you basically deplete the farm system by then.
It's already depleted.
Well, see, I don't know. I've just talked to a lot of people now that know the Cubs system, and they feel as if there are things maybe that have hindered their ability, which is injury related, to hinder their ability to raise their stock a little bit. And I think, look, you get dropped to 25th, and that wasn't Keith Law who made that as the 25th. Was it Alex?
I don't know. After Keith Law made his comments about Shaw, I checked out.
I think, look, I'm really interested. I'm going to make my sort of pick on like the farm system by the end of the year, because I want to see a lot of these new guys coming in from the injuries that they've had. I don't know. Ethan Conrad just fires me up, man. But we'll see. I think overall, I'm excited. Let's get baseball going. College baseball is back. Thank God. USA baseball is starting to go as well. Can we do a little really quick WBC corner?
Absolutely.
For fans at home that don't know or haven't seen, Roman Anthony, a big-time outfield prospect, not prospect anymore, basically outfielder for the Red Sox, replaced Corbin Carroll on the roster. And Bregman, reports say that Bregman actually went to Mark DeRosa, who's the team manager, and told him that they should get Roman Anthony. That says a lot, man. That is awesome. So, I'm not this, in reference to the Cubs, right? The only person this could hurt is PCA, just in case Roman gets put in the lineup over him to play a position. But I mean, I would think PCA would probably get the nod first based on the fact that he was one of the first selections for the team. And again, let's just keep stacking the wins, stacking the preseason wins, I guess you want to call them for that. But it's super exciting. I just want it to start already. I just need baseball back. I just need it back. Like let's go. Like this is the worst part of the year right now. Is like this like little gap between football and baseball where it's like let's go. Come on, let's go.
On Thursday's show, we fixed the dunk contest. No, I'm kidding. But that was the only thing going on this weekend. Also, quick side note, Cubs related about World Baseball Classic. Reports are that Seiya Suzuki is going to be playing center field for Japan.
Center field. Okay.
Interesting. We'll see how that goes. We'll see. I don't know that I would love that if this was like Team USA or if I was rooting for Japan. I don't know that I would love that, but we'll see. And if anything, it's good experience for him for the Cubs this
against lefties this year. Seiya center, Matt Shaw right.
well, actually, I didn't even put this in the notes, but it just dawned on me as we were talking about it. Bruce Levine had a thing today, and maybe we could dive into this more on Thursday.
Yeah.
That the plan is against lefties, Seiya DH, Matt Shaw right. So he must be showing them something already that, oh, no, he's got right.
Bruce has got a step, man, this year, man. He's walking.
We didn't even mention
dropping nuggets, man.
Hi, we missed so much in the show. Zach Gallen, the saga's over. He's going back to the Diamondbacks.
We wish him all the best, and thank you so much for doing what you needed to do to, for the hearts of Cub fans to end it.
Pray for Bruce Levine.
Yep.
Okay.
I will remember you. Remember me.
If I didn't have other stuff to get to, I was going to end the show right there. I was just going to have, well, I will remember you, and just go to back. We do have some housekeeping stuff. So, on your way out the door, if you are interested in the Fantasy Listener League, do us a favor. Right there, below, on the bottom of the screen, apply to Kyle@setupman.net with your interest, and then he will get you all set up from there. But that is Kyle@setupman.net. You have until February 27th to apply, and seats are filling fast. So do that as soon as you get the opportunity. Kyle@setupman.net. On your way out the door, make sure you do us a favor, like, subscribe, comment on this video. Comment on your thoughts on the Ricketts presser. Comment, please, dear God, comment. I need more information on that brawl that we showed at the top of the show. I need it. Like a fish needs water. And also, if you're listening to us on audio only, check out the YouTube for that fantastic video of the Cubs-Cardinals fight. But also, make sure you follow us wherever you get your audio and leave a 5-star review. For Ty, I'm Alex. We will be back later this week. We appreciate you stopping by. We'll see you Thursday night.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.